Welcome to another episode, Middle Ground with JLE LLC, where we treat you like family. That is the theme song, Detroit Love, from my first album, The JLE Experience. I own the music. It's me. Don't mess with it, Facebook. Just gotta let them know. Well, we have another amazing guest for you. The first guest I ever had that really launched me into getting out of my comfort zone and interview or engage people on LinkedIn. Give proper due. Trusted Fintech executive, Ned, co-creator, people connector, author of the awesome book Cheating Death, The 10 Thriving Life Principles, husband, father, and Railsr, head of enterprise risk management, chief compliance officer, Cris Mattoon, JD, CCEP, CAMS. Welcome back to the show, family.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me back. It's hard to believe it's been a year. Since we got together, a lot has happened. So I'm honored and humbled to be back.
I appreciate you. Well, the first part is going to be a little bit about to help someone find a purpose. Second half, of course, is going to be about you being the first guest and all that good information.
All right.
So, first question, what led you on this path?
On which path? I'm sorry.
On the path you're on now.
Okay.
Everything you got you here.
So, and are we talking like where I'm at right now?
Yeah, because they can go check out the first episode of you, or if you want to give that beginning to where you are, choice is yours.
I got you. So, I think I guess I would start kind of where I was at the time that I was, that I started to write the book, which is what you and I spoke about in the first episode. But I think it was a recognition as I was hitting that halfway point in life, that I had lived, through a fair number of experiences, and that I wasn't done learning. I wasn't done living. But at the same time, I felt that I could share some of my experiences with folks. And I chose the medium of sharing through a book, what I had been sharing with individuals and groups, in other forums. And I just, I felt that each of us has something to give, especially through the mistakes we've made, the times we've fallen down and gotten back up again, the lessons that we learned from it. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but I find that some lessons I just have to learn the hard way. And I've got to stub my toe. Yeah, I gotta bang my head. I gotta stub my toe.
I gotta feel, family. I like that. That hurt.
I gotta touch the hot stove. But for me, reaching that mid-century, I was about to turn 50, and I looked at my life and I said, I got a few things I've got to turn around, but I've got a lot of things that I think could be of some use to share with others. And when I say share, not to preach, not to tell people I got it all figured out, but to be able to say that that hopefully somebody else won't have to make some of the silly mistakes that I made, and maybe learn from some of my stumbles to be able to avoid their own stumbles. So that was, to me, that was what led me there. Now, since you and I last got together, you and I was saying to you before we came on, I've just watched you just continue to blossom. And I find that inspiring, because you and I both share in common. Hey, thank you, Russ. Yes, I see. I'm celebrating because after a very successful series against the Yankees recently, we have a 3-game stand against the Yankees. So even though I'm a Detroit boy now, and I was out at Comerica on July 4th, enjoying another Tigers victory and watching the fireworks, I also, because I'm from the East Coast originally, I have a soft spot in my heart for watching Boston beat the Yankees. but so humbly, I've watched you just continue to explode. And in my own life, I've tried to continue that journey myself, and to walk the path that I feel I'm being led. So, when you and I, spoke last year, I think I had pretty much had just begun coaching again.
Okay.
I've been continuing to coach track and cross country with some other great guys. Coaching middle school students.
Okay.
And I'm a runner myself, so the opportunity to be with some other men and women who also enjoy coaching, youth, is just a great way to share something healthy, something fun, and to see that next generation of athletes, in this case, student athletes, because they're in school still,
Okay.
to be able to grow and develop, and to grow in their skills. So I've been enjoying that. Obviously, I've still been running. I'm training for a marathon right now.
Yeah, I've been seeing you on
The
Instagram.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You fan?
I gotta
You
I got to put those miles. I got to put those miles in. But anybody that says, anybody that stops and says, I'm too out of shape, or I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. I mean, when I was approaching 50 and I was too out of shape, and I didn't feel old, but I knew I was getting older, and I looked at myself and I said, you know what? I'm not going to make another 50 years like this. And that's when I started that running journey again. And that running journey has taken me across many finish lines. But what it continues to do is it continues to make me push myself. And even just before we came on tonight, I had told you I was going to be heading off to the gym, and coming back after a day at work. There's nothing like a good workout.
That's true.
So again, you really exemplify to me that nobody should ever say, I can't go back and do something, or I can't continue to do something. What I've seen you do on the music scene, what I've seen you do with your podcast, what I've seen you do with your publishing, your book publishing, amazing stuff. So, it's, seriously, I'm sure there were times, and I follow you on Twitter, I follow you on Instagram, follow you on LinkedIn. I know you're very candid about that there's some tough days. There's times when we have to reach out and and really go on faith and ask God to pick us up and to carry us over whatever challenges that we're having. And and you exemplify, though, a person who doesn't give up, and not only doesn't give up, but excels and continues to take it to the next level. So, again, I try to share, that same ethic in my own life. Obviously, you and I both work hard. Since we were together last year, I actually moved on to a new organization. Well, not new, but new to me. Still doing what I love. Enterprise risk management, regulatory compliance, legal matters, working, with a great organization in the embedded finance technology space. And, something that's always been real important to me is financial inclusion, making sure that everyone has fair access to, the financial system. And all of us have one of these, and so, one of the best ways that we as a society can make sure that folks have access to the financial system is to be able to create, great apps that connect us with the brands that we love, and to be able to do things financially without the hassle and the fees, and having to apply for this and apply for that, and all of that stuff. So of course, the angle that I come at it from is making sure that we uphold laws and regulations, that we're fair to consumers. As I've always done, in my lifetime. that's where I feel I can add the most value, and so that's been, an important, important part of the last year for me as well. No new books in the pipeline though. I can't keep up with you right now on that.
What? you a major chef, it'll mandate like you got a booking, you need to get it done. Like, okay, the big bro said I gotta get to work, and then I was mandated. Well, you need 22, like 22. Okay, I gotta finish editing. I'm on pace one to edit the third one. I'm start up leveling up, and I do everything myself, get more A1 like I want. But I did want to thank you because when we had that first interview, we had to talk about, okay, well, what you want to do with yourself. Like, well, I need to be doing something where I can work on building my brand. And you had told me, like, well, you need to figure out what you don't mind doing that you can stomach. I'm like, okay. And that got me thinking after we had that show, I'm like, okay, well, what are you good at? Well, you took accounting classes, took HR classes. You do custodial stuff. So let's look for jobs in those fields. And months later, well, that same month, I had an interview with, still trying to get her on a guest. She had stuff going. My talent recruiter for SBM services that I work for as custodial supervisor. I had such a great interview with her that they had someone else for one of the buildings that came along. I'm like, okay, well, God got for me, keep going. She hit me back later that August, like, I didn't forget about you. We got another spot. You won. I'm like, wow. Cris did say what you can do and do it. And I've got to ever say, you helped me put into pecking order what should I be looking at instead of just applying everywhere. Because I was just, 50,000, okay, I do that with 60, but something you can do and you can be good at and build your brand. So I appreciate you for that, family.
No, and thank you. I saw that in you, and I think, behind this also is the persistence that you had with completing your degree at Wayne State. And as you mentioned, the accounting classes, the HR, the management, the hands-on experience that you had, already in the industry. So it doesn't surprise me that you would wow someone in the interview. And we've all been down that path. I mean, I've been to plenty of interviews where I was the number 2 choice or I was the number 3 choice, and it's kind of, maybe it's a little bit flattering to know that you were almost the number 1, but there's also that sense, in my own life where, well, it would have been nice if I was the number 1. But as you mentioned, God's always got a plan. And whether it's with our careers, whether it's with our arts, whether it's in our relationships with people, our money, whatever, God's always got a plan. We don't always know what that plan is. And that's one of the messages, obviously, that was in my book and that I live by, is because, I always have to, bear in mind that it's going to be in God's time, not my time. And if that means you have a great interview, but you don't necessarily get that, but you get the call back, and then there's something even better, it's, oftentimes, our impatience sometimes causes us to, maybe to take something less than what we truly deserve. And in your case, you had the patience, and you got the call back for something, for something even better.
And it's funny because this guy got me on the transparency tour. When I got there, they're like, "Oh, you gonna work with who you with now, Jennifer, who trained me like she's awesome." Okay. 3 days later, track site of the Ford site, you're gonna be the supervisor over there. I'm like, what is that? Oh, that's the hard side. Like, get out the mud. That's lean on God, keep grinding. Okay. And wasn't no formal, hey, this what it is. Like, me and my boss at the time were like, well, you been over here before? Nope. Like, well, we're gonna figure it out together, but we're gonna get it done because my name attached to this. I don't play them games. You ain't gonna say my name to suck. I don't get down like that. And we got it on point.
That
Took some
doesn't
time to
surprise
work
me.
with it.
That doesn't surprise me because many times in your life, many times in mine, somehow we get thrown into those challenges, and you said exactly it. When our name's attached to it, it's going to get done right.
Oh yeah, you ain't talking bad about me. I ain't got time for that. I know who my parents
Uh,
are. They ain't raised me that way. So another story. I remember when my coworker, when I was still at Wayne, so I had the book shipped to my job at that time. She gave me the book. Was like, "What's this book about?" Like, "Oh, it's about changing your life and his life experiences." But the title, like, it's a catchy title. It's gonna make you look at it like, "What is this?" And I was blown away when I read it. Like, wow, this dude been through a lot and keep going. That's the tenacity you need to have to find your purpose. I recommend
Amen.
anybody check out his book. Anybody check it out.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, cheating death, and it's still going strong on Amazon.
Awesome.
Amazon Prime days were definitely a hot time for it, but every time's a hot. It's the good thing is too, and I continue to hear from people about this, that Amazon Kindle Unlimited members actually can download the ebook for free. So, for folks, that are into ebooks, that continues to be a great deal that Amazon provides for them. It doesn't hurt me any. I'm still doing fine every time someone downloads it, just like as if somebody was, purchasing the paperback version. But
Okay.
you touch upon something, when, and I'm not one to necessarily to grandstand on this, but I think, from the title Cheating Death, that I built the book around the early chapter where I talked about these three incidents, all of them involving vehicles and involving near death experiences, and the one that probably has the most dramatic effect, I guess, rolling your car going down a
Yeah.
freeway in Dallas is probably a pretty close second.
Yeah.
But the carjacking in Detroit was the one that, and obviously I got away safely. But that was the one that, that I think for me was the most pivotal, and made me truly recognize the value of each and every day, because there is no promise of another day. And
No.
when you're driving and suddenly you're being shot at, and you're driving faster and they're shooting out your tires, and yet somehow through the providence of God, that I was able to escape from that situation with both my vehicle and my life. Um, my child was a baby at the time, and that's all that kept going through my head, is I've got a baby at home. And we're all motivated by something. I've never been motivated, I'm not going to say money's not important, but I've never been motivated by money nearly as much as I've been motivated by love.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another area that you and I share, because this was something I was so excited when I knew I was going to be, joining you tonight, because what I have watched you do is build a loyal following, and to build this, I'll call it a brain trust of leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, educators, just all sorts of different people. And you're doing it through relationships. You are a person who connects people with one another. You're someone who has a great intuitive sense of, and going back to what we said, everyone has a message, everyone has something to share. And you focus so much on the quality of building genuine relationships. I mean, the fact that you and I stay in touch, even though we're not in person every single day, the fact that you and I stay in touch on a regular basis, and you do that with so many people, is a reason that people trust you. And when I look at my own life, it's the relationships I value, whether they're the work relationships, the community relationships, or the relationship with my wife, with my family. I had the good fortune after not because COVID kind of got in the way of things for a lot of
Yeah.
us. I had the good fortune of having my own mother be able to come and visit and stay with us last week. We hadn't seen her since before COVID
Wow.
because of because we're at a distance, because of travel being difficult, and because of her being a little bit older. That we just didn't have the opportunity to get together for a couple of years, and so that was a blessing, a true blessing. But I value that more than many other things. So that's one thing. That's why I want to thank you for your friendship. I want to thank you for what you're doing with your podcast, because I know that me and all of your other listeners truly appreciate what you are doing when you bring great guests onto the show. Somehow I slipped in here, but when you
No,
have the great guests on the show.
no, you're awesome because I didn't look at the interview aspect. You changed my trajectory. Like, okay, well, I interview anybody as long as you're doing something amazing with your career or you have the idea. You can be a guest because there's someone right now who God said you need to build a paint shop, for example. But they're scared to say it out loud. And whatever guest I have on might make them finally say, I need to start working on research, whatever, to build that paint shop. So I try to cover all forms of conception idea in the mind to you start working on it to it's profitable. You may fail, you start it again till you're all the way awesome. Because there's someone at each step, and I'm trying to cover every career field possible because there's someone that's hesitant to jump in that field they should be jumping into. And
Isn't
I
that
also,
isn't that the truth?
yes, and also I was fortunate enough to engage with someone on Instagram that read my first book, and it gave them a reason to keep going. And I was humble, like, so this Friday was on my head to write a book. Help that one person. They ain't help nobody else. Like, wow, that was very humble, for real.
I'm sure your music has that same effect.
Yeah,
That you're able to touch people, through your music. And if I'm not mistaken, you started out as a music major before you
yeah,
ended up actually
engineer.
earning your degree in business.
Yeah, I did engineer. Couldn't get out of pre-cal. Then I went to music and ear training in math. Dropped out. When I came back, like, you should be doing business because you can do both, and just went
Yep.
after it nonstop. And I'm utilizing a lot of that. I'm working on the marketing aspect to help keep growing this more. Because I did a listening show with awesome family Tisha Hammond on her Pep Talk live show, and I was petrified because my music is truly me and personal. Like, I don't really share my ideas of what I come up with a song. Like, I just say listen to it. Like, wow, I'm actually really open up. And then I feel that nudge from God, like transparent everything you do. Come on, don't do it. Like, all right. And
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you encountered, even when you first were doing your music as a younger person, when you were first doing your music, I believe you said you had your own style.
yeah,
That kind of ran against the grain of what I think some people thought you should be doing, quote unquote,
yeah,
should be doing. And you
singing
said no,
around.
you were gonna do what was in your heart. You were gonna do what you were passionate about, and you stuck to your guns.
Yeah, I was told back in I wrote my first song, 8th grade, 92. And I was telling a friend of the family, like, well, I'm a rap and sing. Like, you can't do that. Like, this should do it all the time. What are you talking about? People already doing it. And then the Drake, everybody else came out like, so the 80s, man, Ronnie and Mike, they harmonize, but they rap. So you can sing and rap, you know. Some people say I'm good at rapping. I'm like, thank you. I'm nice. But all that has come to life. Even my record company that I made an LLC that I came up with that name, I think the summer of 92 or 3. I used to draw like I'm gonna be on stage, I'm gonna have groups, I'm gonna have a record company, Rebel Force Entertainment. And by the grace of God, no one had like, I gotta make that real come. I don't want to have albums out here had that name on it and it's not legit. I want everything legit. And I'm like, wow, you came up with that crap when you was a kid, and it's a real company that will be a profitable company in its right time. So I do want to have artists and all that and fall back. But it's
And you
amazing stuff
will.
you think about as a kid that you start making come to life. And it's very humbling.
Well, and that's what I think is so. I think it's so important because
Hey, Regina.
you. Hi, Regina. You do have to stick to what you are passionate about, and you've got to push aside the naysayers. You can be open to constructive criticism. Even to this day, I've got to be open to constructive criticism because I don't have all the answers.
No.
You know, and I still have things I can learn from other people. But at the same time, just because other folks are too scared to try something new, whether it be a new music style or whether it's, you know, a new career choice, if you're passionate about it, you know, we can't let the naysayers push us off the path. And you've been, that's where I think you've been extremely consistent, because you didn't let them shame you into changing your music style to suit their own stereotypes of what they thought music should be. You said, no, this is what's on my heart to do.
Yeah, I've had people say you should be making whatever. Like, I can make your booty bounce, all that, make millions, but that really ain't me. I'm a musician. I ain't knocking their style. That just ain't my style. So I got to make
Yeah,
what's,
well, you're not a sellout.
you know. But my beat's banging. That's what I tell them. Like, hey, it's positive, but I'm from the D now. The beat's gonna bang. You better turn the bass down in your car because you're gonna find out. Oh, he for real, Fred. This is real music. You can work out to it. I did it. You can ride down Belle Isle on an 80-degree day and like, dang, this is. You can listen to it now. Oh, I got to turn this down back to a church or a grandma. And no cussing. And you're gonna learn something. Will Smith did it. MC Hammer did it. I could do it.
Amen.
That's how I look at it. I can do it.
Amen.
So, any challenges on this new journey of risk management?
You know, I wouldn't say challenges necessarily. I've been blessed that, you know, where I've landed is just a phenomenal, you know, opportunity, startup, scale up.
Okay.
I'm working with extremely talented people. I mean, this was the thing that I was so impressed by, looking at various organizations that I had the opportunity to join, was that I had the opportunity to join an organization where I was surrounded by a lot of smart people.
Awesome.
You know, a lot of men and women that bring different talents together, and, you know, are working collaboratively to do some great things. And, you know, to be honest with you, I by no means do I feel I'm out of place, but at the same time, I feel very fortunate to be able to work with such great men and women. So, you know, but as far as challenges, you know, one of the things that's kind of interesting is that, you know, I continue to be, you know, very focused on encouraging young people, especially young people, but it shouldn't be just young people. It could be people that are mid-career also, to take a look at the trades. You know, electricians, plumbers, you know, telecommunications, HVAC,
Nice.
you know, the power generation, windmills, you know, all of these, you know, we are bombarded by stories, you know, on a regular basis that there's a labor shortage in many key industries. And,
Wow.
you know, and so, you know, the reason I bring this up is because you and I, at the moment, we're communicating over telecommunication wires with electricity, with the lights on, hopefully some air conditioning, or, something to keep us cool. Although thankfully it's not as hot as it was a couple weeks ago, but,
Yes.
but there's so many folks that are retiring in those fields. Okay, whether it's the gas company, the electric company, the phone company, the internet companies, is that there's actually a shortage of people that are going into the trades, that are going into the journeyman. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe even in your own family, there's some tradesmen. Yes.
Oh yes,
Electrician, I believe.
Yeah, brother electrician.
Yeah.
Go check the stats. You have a nice life making that money. I tell you that. Go check the stats.
But he understands. He understands, the value of having good talent in the trades. So, I bring that up just because, we're at a pivotal point right now. There's very low unemployment in this country. That doesn't mean there's not folks that are unemployed. Doesn't mean there's not folks that are having trouble finding a new career. So I'm not going to brush lightly over that because certainly anybody's hurting if they're having a challenge right now looking. But the openness to being able to turn their attention towards some of these trades where there is a huge demand, and I'm talking about a huge demand right here in the Detroit metropolitan region. I mean, we see the number of cranes that are up around the city, and then as you get outside the city center and you go out even into the suburbs, it seems like I think every road right now in the Tri-County area is probably under construction. At least it seems that way. But there's new buildings going up. There's new water systems going in. I mean, all of this is taking place. They're running fiber everywhere. Those are jobs. Those are good paying jobs.
Right.
And so, I raise that here because I think that is a very viable option for many folks that, like me, who spent 12 years getting my bachelor's degree, bouncing around, dropped out of school, went back to school, dropped out of school, went back to school. I know I'm not alone, and you and I both took a little extra time to finish the degree. But there's times where if folks try something new, they might find that they're actually going to enjoy it. They're going to find something they never would have thought about. And so that brings me back to my journey. You said, are there any challenges? I just hope I live long enough to get to do all the, kind of all the things in my field that I enjoy doing, because I'm one of those geeks that, I like to read, case law. I like to read legislation. I read regulations, and then I try and help other people to understand how it applies to their business. How does it apply to new products and services? Awesome. And thing is, I'm passionate about it. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing things ethically, doing things that are in compliance, doing things that are fair. And so I was fortunate. I figured out what I wanted to do at a young age. Even though it took me a darn long time to finish my bachelor's degree, I knew when I was a teenager that I wanted to be an attorney, and I followed through on that dream, and successfully did that. And I think it's like you knew in middle school that you were a musician. You knew it in your heart.
Yeah. Hey, my role model. Want to be like him.
Yeah. So I'm blessed. I wouldn't say any challenges. I would just say kind of a recognition that other people may be going through some challenges. And I just, I would encourage, I'd encourage folks to not give up, to take some risks, to try a new career field, maybe try a new education, path, and definitely, to put ourselves out there, to be willing, to do something that scares us a little bit, but it may actually be the best decision of our lives.
Okay. What would you say has been the impact of you gaining passion and knowledge along to others to help, from what you've seen?
I think the benefit is that while I can't ever guarantee results, You know, I can't guarantee, even if I pointed somebody to the front door of whatever that opportunity is, there's no guarantee that necessarily that somebody is successful on the first try or even the 10th try.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like I say in my book, you know, you have an infinite supply of do-overs. So I think the impact that I try to have is to say, you know, that never give up because of the no, never give up because of the rejection. You know, if you have to, you know, talk to 100 record producers before you can get somebody to publish your song, if you have to talk to 100 employers before you can get somebody to say yes, you know, if you have to apply to 100 colleges until you get into the one that you want to get into, you know, that's got your major, whatever it is, you got to keep trying. Now, listen, I already know, even if I tried 100 times, I am not going to get to play center for the Detroit Pistons. All right. At 5'8", that is not going to happen. I understand that. So, you know, when you ask about impact, I don't set people up for unrealistic expectations. I'm not going to lie to people. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're the best at this, if I know that that's not where their strength probably lies. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that if we're open to searching out what our passion is, and if we seek out good mentors, and that's what I try to be. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't have all the answers. I try to be a good mentor, a good encourager, a good friend. And at the same time, I try to be honest. If someone asks me their honest opinion about, you know, should I fix something on my resume, or, am I good at this, or is there something I could do better? I'm not going to be, cold-hearted about it, but I'm going to, if they've asked for the honest feedback, I'm going to offer the honest feedback because I want to see them succeed. And a lot of times it all comes back around to relationships. It comes back to, are we willing to extend ourselves, to meet as many new people as possible, to be as willing and open to new opportunities as possible. I mean, you gave a great example earlier. You got hired in to do one thing, and then they sent you to the other side, right? When you're willing to say yes, when you're willing to accept something like that, and that's what I do encourage folks to do. I said, maybe what you just got hired into, not you in particular, but if I'm talking to someone, I'd say, maybe what you got hired into isn't ultimately where you see yourself going, but it may very well be the stepping stone that's going to give you the opportunity. Because here's the thing, you and I have we're both, examples of this, of showcasing our talent in what I would say are probably less than stellar conditions, but being recognized for our work ethic, and then being given more responsibility.
Story of my life.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm always humbled whenever you post about my show. The wording you use, like, wow, top leader podcast, like, man, this family right here, we show love.
Well, how many shows, if it's a number that you're willing to, or that you can hazard a guess, or you're willing to disclose, how many shows have you done now?
It'll say probably on the platforms 156, but a lot of that, because I didn't know I could just add the shows to one on Anchor, so a lot of them were part 2. So it's probably more. You might be maybe episode 133 now.
Right, that's a lot, but we're talking a 1 year time span here. So I mean, that's my point. That's my point.
That's a lot of grinding. You're right.
That's a lot, right? So that's what I mean. That's a lot of relationships. That's a lot of people. And the thing is, you bring guests on your show that speak about things that benefit your audience. And so, in other words, it's the multiplier effect. If you bring someone on and they have something to share, and that touches at least one person that's listening to your show, and that one person goes out and makes changes in their lives that benefit them to the positive, then that's that multiplier effect of having that guest on the show. And that's what I mean. It's an impact that I think, is hard for you and I to even estimate. So when you ask about the impact I have, I trust me, I am an imperfect and flawed human being, but I try to treat people with dignity, and I try to encourage folks to be the best at whatever it is, whether you are a 12-year-old running on the cross country team, or whether you are a 42-year-old who finds themselves having to make a career change. Whatever the case is, I try to be as encouraging and as helpful as I can be. And I don't always know what the impact is. Maybe I have only met somebody for a brief 5 minutes when I've stopped into a coffee shop, or I've stopped in, to a business, or something like that. My hope can be that something that we've shared in that encounter is going to have an impact down the road. It's kind of like when you go to church and you're praying for people, and you don't always know what the outcome. You're praying for them, but you don't always know what the outcome is for them.
Yeah, I can say I don't have the data, but just from my eye test, some people that have been guests, I've noticed they would be more engaged on LinkedIn or doing other things that they talk about they want to do. Like, okay, so I'm at least a springboard. I see that much. I don't know the whole quantifiable data, but I do notice, like, okay, they grinding more. I like that. I'm support. Fun side of the show now. You being the first guest ever. How did that experience help you in your journey?
Well, it was very humbling because honestly, to be your first guest and to have the opportunity, first of all, you knew that every show after that could only get better. So that was good. Awesome, but no, for me, honestly, first of all, it encouraged me. Okay, it encouraged me because, again, recognizing that I ended up having the opportunity to come onto your show simply because you and I had the courage to reach out to each other, and initially speaking online, and then and developing a friendship as we got to know each other in person, and mutually encouraging each other. And so that's why, when I watch the things you're doing, the impact you're having on me is that it gives me that indomitable spirit that no matter how challenging certain events may be in my life or in the lives of those around me, I recognize that there's always hope, there's always faith, there's always going to be some light at the end of the tunnel. And so, I think that's something, as I reflect on the years since I first came on the show, that to me was a personal, blessing. But for me, the bigger blessing has been watching you, and watching, that's why, I mean, when I say that I don't think anybody tells you no, I mean, if somebody has, an appointment change, that's not a no. That's simply, I got to reschedule. But to know that when you are inviting people onto the show and you're doing it with a deliberate purpose of bringing someone onto the show because you know that they're going to have something to share during that time that's going to be beneficial not only to you in your relationship with them, but it's going to be beneficial to your listeners. And I've watched you do that. And you don't limit your show to, oh, I'm only going to have this one kind of guest on. You've been very, you've been very, I think, strategic in being able to cultivate, a variety of guests, which I think reflects the variety of listeners that you could expect to have on your show. It reflects the impact of being in the broader community. And, and that's so important, because your show isn't about trying to, just drive home one point over and over again. Your show is an opportunity for folks to come on and candidly share about their own journey, their own challenges, their own struggles. I mean, in our first interview together, I talked obviously more about some of the challenges, some of the things I had written about in the book. And, that's why I didn't go over all that again tonight in great detail. But I think that by you being willing and having the courage to have such a variety of different guests on, makes it extremely interesting, not only for you, because you're obviously probably learning things and enjoying it along the way also, but think about your audience. I mean, your audience never knows, hey, what nugget am I going to get from this? What am I going to learn? What am I going to hear that maybe, even if they don't apply it in their own life, I might hear something that I can go and share with someone else. I think that's, I think that's one of the, that's one of the key takeaways too, is sometimes the gift wasn't meant for us to keep it. Sometimes the gift was meant for us to receive it so that we could give it away.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I appreciate all the time that you retweet stuff I put up. I'm like, that's my fan right there. He's supporting.
Well, and you've been great for me too, because the number of times that you've spoken about the book, that you've encouraged folks to pick up the book. Again, I don't have the data on the direct connection between that, but I keep getting the royalties. So I know that you are among my friends, who are sharing and talking about the book and keeping cheating death out there. I mean, it's amazing, because I'll get, I'll figure out that, oh, somebody bought the book in Australia, somebody bought the book in England, somebody bought the book in Germany. It's like, that's, those kinds of things are, to me, very uplifting.
Oh, absolutely. I'm all about teamwork. We all should be where we need to be. And if I can help you get there, do whatever I can.
And I thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'm blessed to have met some people that do the same, like small business cheerleader Tisha Hammer. I did not know interviewing her and people she knew that would be awesome guests would take me to this direction. Because I told you, my goal, if I had 22 episodes by January, pop bottles, awesome. I had to go back like from November to January. Like, oh my God, I'm doing like almost 2 shows a day. Like, wow, you racking up the episodes, buddy. I'll just be doing it, go to work, whatever, not thinking like, whoa. Sometimes overscheduled, so I got 3 back to back. Like, well, you say you're gonna have a show, get cracking, get to it, and like, dang, how many episodes you got? I didn't realize I had 100 in March when it was a year anniversary. I had to look at it like, well, you didn't understand you could just put them into the show, so you got a lot of part 2s, but you cracked them down. Oh, you did 100 episodes in a year. Whoa. You need to celebrate that. Like, okay. And now season 7, like, wow. Because my nephew was murdered on April 30th. I kind of still doing it, but like, what's the point of all this? But I know he get on my head like, do what you're supposed to be doing. And so it kind of brought back the fire for this season. Like, get back on your grind. Get back to mingling, engaging people. Make sure you're covering every field possible to get that guest. So, because it's someone that should be doing it, but they're afraid to even speak on it. So, hearing someone doing it, they might not be that intimidated by it because it ain't that hard. Just research it, ask God, research it, try it, fail, try again. It's really that simple.
Well, you demonstrate a lot of courage and a lot of resiliency, because obviously that was very devastating. And for you to continue, to continue the show, recognizing that that's what was needed. That's what was needed to be done.
Yeah, it definitely made me look at you created something that it ain't where it's going to be profitable and reach the whole planet at some point, but you have created something where you just can't put it down. You can't not do your devotionals because some people they look for that. I'm like, wow, okay, so what you are the brand. You got to keep doing you, no matter what, because it's helping somebody. And I see more people comment on my devotionals on all the platforms. Like, wow, I ain't think nobody really is looking. I hear one or two like, "Oh, keep posting." Like, well, I pray before I do it, and Lord, thankfully, give me something. But I see more engagement. Like, wow, people really are messing with you. Okay, well, there's a reason you're on this path. Just keep going. I get asked like, "Your stuff ain't proper yet." Like, yeah, but stay on the journey. The money gonna be there. I have my own network at some point. I ain't worried about that.
Well, and the other thing too is that you can't hesitate when you do need help. You know, when you do need someone to listen to you. When we all have those moments where life is kind of beating us down,
Yeah.
and that's, I think that's part of maybe the benefit of I'll call it the wisdom of being a little bit older, is that I actually find it easier to ask for help in those moments of grief now than I would have 20 or 30 years ago. Because I don't feel like we have to keep up the tough guy image.
Yeah.
We're able to be more open about the grief. We're more able to be more open about the challenges, about the struggles, and people realize that that's the real, that's the real person. The real person weeps. The real person gets angry. The real person, feels vengeful or confused.
Oh yeah.
And it's better. I think it's better for folks to know that yeah, that's what being human's all about. But hey, when we were 20, 25 years old, it was the wall of steel.
Mhm.
Nobody's gonna see the emotion. Nobody's gonna see the struggle. Nobody's gonna see the challenge.
Oh
Um,
man.
I
I
don't know if that
was.
resonates with you, but
Oh, it does. I was more hurt because I had COVID, and I would have been right at his house with my sister, with his body, trying to console. Because I was more trying to make sure everybody else is dealing. I didn't look at me in grief until maybe a day or two later. I helped raise him. Like, wow, you helped raise this boy, man. And it's like you are more of a you try to help everyone before you think about you. Like, they're like, you taking this kind of well. I'm like, no, I want to make sure y'all good. Being married, I got used to you last, make sure everything good first. So it was more how y'all taking it, this and that. Then when I had time to unpack, like, man, this sucks. And I got COVID, I can't go, so I can only call people, check on me. And that's when you start having them like, okay, you got us. This do suck, but you started something. You can't stop it. this path God got you on, that people still gotta get help. So you don't know who it is, but someone needs you on the pod to talk, or get a guest, or do something, or keep posting your devotional, keep sharing other people's stuff they're doing, keep being engaged. You can't just go in your corner and write a song. Them days are dead. Your brand is you got to be open to the world, and that was the more humbling of like, well, Jesus did it, so you ain't better than him. And they crucified that guy, and he still had love. So you can grieve and keep moving. And if you need to cry, whatever, because men cry, we're not robots. Anybody out
that's
there that's
right.
a man, you need to deal with your emotions because keep bottled up, they come out the wrong way. And it was a tough road to get back to like the steam I had going, like, okay, like man. And then kept going, like, okay, I'm close to the end of season 6. Like, you at season 7. You gotta go back going hard, man. And I be checking out David Goggins inspirational stuff on YouTube. Like, you gotta get on your Goggins game. You gotta go hard. So get back on the grind you had. Because if he was here, he would tell you the same thing. So get back on. Keep engaging people. Keep reaching out. Keep sharing. Keep keep being instrumental the best way you can to be a point guard. And I see someone post something, I'll share or whatever, because it ain't all. I have a vision where it should be an infinite table, and we all are in our purpose, eating good, providing for our families, and helping someone else paying for it. And that got me back on
Oh
track.
my God. Oh my God. That reminds me, it reminds me, I write about that in my book. It's not enough to be invited to the table. It's not enough to even have a seat at the table, but everyone should have the opportunity to sit at the head of the table at some point in their lives. And when you said infinite table, I think you say it much better than I did. I think you really capture that. It should be an infinite table.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't eat alone. And they might want to rob you because they starving. You know they starving, so help them.
Yeah.
Basic math.
Well, whether that's the real food or the spiritual food, it's still necessary.
Absolutely, or both. Another question for you? Well, you was first guest. You have a question or something in perspective about the show?
I've been slipping those questions in probably without you even realizing it. So.
You smooth like that.
you know me. I can't talk for the entire hour. That's why I had to pepper you with some questions in the midst of this, because you always have a lot to give. You have a lot to give through your experience and through your genuine compassion for folks. And I think I had the opportunity to draw some of that out today. So, it's a blessing to be your friend. And
Hey,
to
family.
be, hey, good evening, Tiffany. To be, open and honest about the fact that you and I have both gotten to where we are after many challenges,
Man.
with many blessings, with many mentors. You remember when you told me about the person that was helping you, tutoring you, in math?
I had two of them, Kim Morgan, Yoda, and my family, Stacy Lynn, my accounting tutor. And without them, I wouldn't have that championship title, that degree I look at every day. Because I didn't understand how to study math. And she got Yoda, made me figure it out, like, okay, this is easy. Accounting, Lord, that was some work. But I stayed in there every day to where I got so cool with her that when she had her last child, JP, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. Like, when I become a babysitter, you family here. Like, oh, that's my man, but okay. And they're like, wow, he really go to sleep with you. Like, well, I'm a cool cat. He feel the vibes. But they really helped me a lot get to where I was going. Some days I feel like doing homework. It's like, don't you got another project due in a month? You can start on now. Like, I can't listen to music. No, you listen to music at home. Like, okay, fam. I got you. Yeah. I wouldn't be here without countless people. Even though my father died when I was 12, God still put a council of elders in my life that taught me what I should do as a man. And I passed that along whoever I could. So I ain't here without the countless people. Even the people Russ had your interview earlier that gave me some advice on how I can better my product, and other countless people. Tiffany, high energy fan from the West Coast. And now Tish is showing more love and putting my music on Instagram stories. Like, man, I've been blessed by people that's really trying to help me the way I help others. And I'm truly humbled by their help. For real.
Well, and here's the capstone of it too. How did you feel now that COVID had basically passed us? How'd you feel on that stage?
Like, that's what I'm supposed to be. Stuff I used to write about when I was a kid. Like, I know my mom had told me, someone prophesied what all of us would do, my siblings, and oddly, all four of us are doing this. Like, I'm gonna be the one to show the world, because you're supposed to be a famous singer doing all type of stuff. I'm like, man, this kind of stuff real. You just talking about when I was back in high school. Like, man, well, he told you, and like, one day in the studio, I'm like, oh, be darn, you are doing music. You are using social media like this dude did. He had it right. God wasn't lying on that one. I look forward to doing my concert at Comerica one day. That's gonna be awesome. So get more comfortable in that aspect because, like I was saying earlier, my music was very private. I ain't sharing that. I mean, just listen to it. I don't. I mean, I'm emotional, I'm vulnerable. But I don't want you can't see that. But for whatever reason, transparency is what I have to be in everything I'm doing. So it's helping somebody. Let's get
Yeah,
more
and
comfortable now.
that's why I asked that too, because you literally stand on the shoulders of those that have helped you along the way,
Family, hey,
and
Robin.
Robin, how are you? And then you're paying it forward to others. So I mean, you both figuratively and literally climb up on the stage, and someday you'll climb up on the stage at Comerica, and but you're helping others to make that climb as well. So and I think you know that's how I look at it, right? I mean, your tutors helped you, and you're helping others, and you and I are both, we've both learned a lot. People have helped us along the way. We're helping others. They're going to go help others. We're not even going to know the impact. We're not going to know the impact of all the people they're going to help. And
I
that
help
doesn't make us great guys, but at
no.
least we know, I mean, I'm not cocky about it, but at least we know that by paying it forward like that, that through the multiplier effect, countless other folks are being helped.
Yeah, I've helped a few people with their Melissa Johnson Wild Podcast. You know her thing. My sister has hers. Check-in time with Tracy. I'm like, I don't know nothing about podcasts. You think I ain't making money off this shit? We talking about, and I was humble like, no, how you do it? How you use Stream or how you use Anchor? Like, okay, I'll show you. Man. I'm not sharing the knowledge, but it was weird. Like, I think I'm an expert. I'm just rocking the MacBook. I ain't got the fancy stuff and all that. That had me cracking up. Like, okay, I help you, but I don't think I'm there. But when I talk with you, I'm always humble. Like, wow, someone do see what you're really doing. Because to me, I don't think I'm doing that much yet. But every time you always got that right word, like a great pastor. Is like, wow, you are doing something, Jeff. Don't think you ain't. You always remind me of that family. Any final words before the last question?
As always, I'm grateful for our friendship, and I'm humbled to have been asked back. And I'm looking forward to to what's going to happen in the next 133 episodes.
See, I was mandated to do 1,000 by Mary Wells, encouragement expert. Like 1,000? Okay, it'll take a while. But as always, that I need that last question out of everybody. What advice do you have for someone trying to find their purpose?
Be willing to take risks, to try things that may not work out until you find the thing that you are truly passionate about. I can't overstate that enough. I think folks think it's that you get one shot and that you got to get it right. And I'm certainly a testament to getting it wrong on many more than one occasion, but eventually getting it as right as I wanted it to be. And not going to say there's not going to be some pain, discomfort, and embarrassment along the way. But you and I both know that when you do strike upon your passion and you stay focused on your passion as your North Star, and you don't worry about the money, and you don't worry about the fame, and you don't worry about what this person is whispering about you or that person saying, you will ultimately succeed. And that's my advice to people. Don't worry. Don't try and be like me. Don't try and be like this person over here. Just be you. And, I think the happiest people in life, are the people that are doing what makes them happy. and not worrying about, you know, what anybody else thinks or cares about it, you know, etc. And that's how I live my life. You know, people can laugh at me. Oh, look at that old guy going out running down the road, or look at, you know, this or that or whatever. I don't care. I don't care. You know what? I'm living. I'm alive. I'm loved. I'm blessed. And to me, that's the best advice I could give anybody, is just you be you.
Yeah, Tiffany.
Thank you, Tiffany. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm back on the gym, Planet Fitness down the street on Michigan Avenue. Work, hit gym, stay on the purpose.
All right, so that means the next time that we get together to go out to lunch, then you and I are both eating salads, then, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be Black Thor, man. That's my personal goal. And get a blonde wig, get a hammer.
Robin, you are so right.
Yes, amazing person right there. Well, it's my family, everybody. I want to thank him, and it's amazing. Out of 130 plus episodes, he was the one that started it all. So I definitely want to thank again, trusted Fintech executive, Ned, co-creator, people connector, author of a great book, Cheating Death, the 10 Thriving Life Principles, husband, father, Railsr, I'm saying it right, head of enterprise risk management, chief compliance officer, Cris Mattoon, JD, CCEP, CAMS. So another great show, 2 more great shows Monday. If you want to be a guest on the show, hit me up on LinkedIn, because the show will be about you, and I'm always gonna need that last question. You gotta get that game away to help somebody get on their purpose. And so we're gonna ride out to this amazing that I created intro outro, which is, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little proud of myself. The first one sucked. Yep. Like, this one's not
Thank
bad.
You so much.
Thank you, sir. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Detroit raised me. Detroit.